Hey there, crafty friends. It's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps. Today I created an A2 sized fall card for you using the On The Line Florals stamp and coordinating die. Now here is that stamp set. It's so pretty. Look at those beautiful florals, and the sentiments are absolutely gorgeous. And of course there's coordinating dies that go with that. And I'm using the Petal Patterns stencil for the background. So let's start by stamping the flower images. There's two, and I picked the one that's not the sunflower. I don't know what the main flower is on this, but I really liked how it looks, so that's why I picked this one. I'm using Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink because I want to do some Copic coloring. So this larger flower is going to be a red combination. I like this one, which is R35, 37, and 39. It really is my go-to. Well, I think it's the only one I really use. I probably should get a different color combination at some point, but I really love this one. So I'm starting with the darkest marker and adding my shadow parts to the base of the petals. Then the R37 is the middle, so I'm going over the R39 and then extending out a little further on I almost said pillows, on the petals. And as you can see, that's kind of blending out that R39 just to soften it up a little. And then I'm going to use the R35 to blend out completely. And I kind of go through this one more time. I tend to do this twice because I really like how it looks when I go through this whole thing two times. So I'm going to show that again. I'm adding a little bit of the darker areas, and I love this part when you start to add the shadows. Look at how just bold that looks, and it really makes things pop. And then again the R37, and I just quickly go over it this time, where the first time I probably take a little more time, but you don't need as much the second time around. Okay, so now I'm using reds, greens, oranges, and a little bit of yellow. Of course, nice fall cards. So all the leaves are going to be green in this because the flowers are going to be the traditional fall colors, essentially. So I've got two green color combinations, and I'm just gonna lay down these colors real quick. I think the leaves are super, super simple. I'm just using two colors for those. And then coming back in and darkening that little shadow area again with the darkest Copic marker. Then I have this mum over here, which I think it's a mum. It looks like that to me. I'm going to do a nice kind of traditional orange on this. And then there's a mum to the right that I will be using a yellow on. And the little berries, I realize they're right next to the red flower, but to me they needed to be red. I guess I could have made them purple or something like that. That would have been cute. But I decided to use the two darkest, R39 and R37, so it stood out slightly different than the flower next to it. So again, just laying down that R39, those other little berries at the top there, I thought I might as well just even it out and keep all the red here in the center. And then a little bit of that green coming down the stem. Now, this die cut is interesting. You have this top part here, and you have this bottom part. So you could die cut out the whole thing, the top or the bottom, which is really, really awesome. So I have opted to die cut the top, and we are going to trim this panel down. It really didn't matter that it wasn't centered because we're going to trim this panel down. So no big deal. I have die cut that out, and then I just need to take this to my paper trimmer so I can finish getting it completely off of this background cardstock here. So just using my paper trimmer to trim off the sides, and now I can pull that apart. And I am going to trim this bottom part down just a little bit smaller, and I think it even goes smaller than this. I just don't need that much white space at the bottom. But I do want to stamp my sentiment. So my sentiment, number one, the sentiments in the stamp set are gorgeous. I love the fonts. They're a really good size. So I opted for the Grateful for Your Friendship. And I'm actually going to stamp that in Cozy ink from Simon Says Stamp. They're positively saturated inks because the background is going to have a little bit of brown to it. So I just thought I would bring that into the sentiment, and nothing, I don't have like a harsh black sentiment. Not that that's a problem, but I really didn't want that for this card. So I'm just going to ink that up and stamp that down a few times to get a nice, good, crisp sentiment. And that part of our card is done. Okay, let's get to the background. This is the Petal Patterns stencil, and I think it's so pretty. And I'm using fawn ink from Simon Says stamp, and I'm just going to ink blend over the background. This is a really light color and I wanted to keep it light, but I also wanted to be able to see it on the background. So I'm just going to hold that stencil in place and then just get that little ink blending going. Now I do want that floral image to be popped up with some foam tape, so I'm going to add that to the back of it, and then we can add that to this card panel. I did adhere that down and trim it, and so now we have this nice good size. I decided to add some of the wooden hearts, the tree hugger wooden hearts, which I love these from Honeybee Stamps. I'm going to add some of those at the bottom. And I do trim down the top of this card panel a little bit more because I needed it to fit onto an A2 size card. So again, that whole bottom piece is popped up with foam tape directly on the background. And now I can adhere this to a white A2 size card base. And I'm going to pull this down to the bottom of the front of the card instead of having it centered, which I really like how that looks. So the frame is on the sides and the top. So I hope you guys enjoyed this project. I hope that you feel inspired. Thank you so very much for stopping by and watching, and I hope you guys have a really fantastic day. Bye.